They said no more. I said I need more.
Right.
So my senior year of high school, I wore a brand new pair of shoes every single day. I never wore the same shoe again.
Really?
Yeah. So by the time I was a freshman in college,
Right.
I'm like, bro, I don't need college. Like, what is this? You know what I'm saying?
Oh my
So
gosh.
I was like, I'm making money. Like, what's going on?
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Shoes Off podcast. Yo, real quick. If you guys want a chance to win this pair of Beat Studio Pros to listen to the APTHCRY Shoes Off podcast, make sure to leave a comment down below and subscribe to our podcast on all of the podcast platforms and on YouTube. We'll be picking one random winner very soon. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Seth, and I'm here with the one and only DJ. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
What's happening? Thanks for having me.
Of course, man.
I'm DJ Willingham, also known as DJ Sneakerhead. I always tell the story about my name is DJ Sneakerhead, but I would never tell why my name is DJ Sneakerhead.
I wondered that. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I got to get into that in a little bit
definitely.
too. But yeah, I'm from Portland, Oregon. I love sneakers. I grew up in that environment, and I just like teaching people about shoes and how to leverage sneakers to buy real estate and take their life to another level. So that's kind of where I'm at.
That's dope. That's crazy.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit about everything. Like, start from the beginning. Tell me how you got into sneakers, into real estate, and just where your love of just all that came to be.
So, yeah, being from Portland, it's hard not to know somebody, have a relative, be a neighbor, whatever it is, to somebody that worked at Nike or Adidas over the years.
Right.
So that was always a big thing.
Right.
And then, yeah, it just came down to my parents, like, having me in kicks, like, as a baby.
That's awesome.
So
That's
as soon as I came into this world,
Shout out to Dad.
Yeah, I was fresh, had all the new, at the time was the original releases.
Right.
Had all the new releases from back then, growing up, and then my parents, luckily, they kept some of my shoes. We ended up giving a lot of them away, too.
Awesome.
But I still got some from back in the day when I was a little baby and everything, so it's always fun.
Were you always a size 13?
Yeah, basically. Nah, I grew up, I was like, they used to make fun of me and call me like a L because my feet and my body didn't match, and it was just like a small, short human with a big feet, so it was just always funny. But, yeah, I had got a lot of shoes, all the stuff that was releasing back in the day. And then when I got to high school, my parents was like, no more. You get one pair a year. You better figure it out. So I had to figure it out.
So what would be your yearly pair? Would it be the 11s? Would it be I guess it changed per year?
The first year was my freshman year. Luckily, I think I had got like 2 pair of shoes.
That's awesome.
I think it was like some Air Force Ones and something else. Or oh no, I think it was, I took the money.
Right.
Remember at Champs, they used to have the deal, it was like 2 for $90.
Oh yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And you get like some shell toes and something else or whatever.
Yep.
So I took the money, I was like, instead of getting one, I'm gonna get 2.
That's
so like
just good
I used to
business.
getting J's, but like I'm gonna have to go get some other brand, you know, like gotta play it smart.
That's awesome.
So I did that, and then after that, like Christmas the 11th was like, cause 08 was what was that, our sophomore year?
Yep.
Yeah. So when those had came out, that kind of changed everything from that point.
What was the 08 release? Was it the Concords?
No. 08 was CDP pack.
That's right. Okay.
And then you had we had the playoff 8s.
Oh right.
And the laser 15s.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was a lot of, well, I guess that was 2007.
Okay.
Was the playoff 8s.
Right.
But that was the Christmas before. That was like a lot of hype around that product, and we had, there was a lot of stuff that was coming out during that time.
Good years, man. Good years for sure. Okay, well, so tell me how so you mentioned that you use sneakers to buy real estate. So how did that all come about? How did you get into real estate initially?
So it all started with, again, back with the sneakers. They said no more. I said I need more.
Right.
So I ended up picking up over 100 pairs of shoes my first year of officially collecting as a high schooler.
Dang.
So I was just like grinding, and I picked up maybe 100 shoes. I did it before the school year was over. So from the summer, like right before school started, till before the school year was over.
Are these used shoes?
Most of them was all new.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
I was getting some stuff used on like Craigslist and everything.
Okay.
I know they had the Craigslist killer, but I was really the Craigslist killer because I was out there getting deals, man. I was getting all the stuff. So, during that time, it was heavy on just like copping kicks for the releases and everything. I had got a job at the family restaurant, which I ended up then getting fired from, which we'll talk about in a bit. But did that, and I was just like buying a bunch of shoes and putting money into my car. So I had a little Honda Accord.
Oh, let's go.
I had lights underneath it. I had two 14-inch screen TVs in the back, one in the front.
You had the original Pimp My Ride.
I had all the I had rims and everything. It was funny. I was just like,
what color was it?
White, just a white Honda Accord.
Nice.
But it was like so many memories in that car.
That's
like
awesome.
it was fun. So yeah, did that, and then I had kind of created a name for myself, the young dude, because typically like it's like the juniors and seniors, you know, they start making money or whatever.
Exactly. Yep.
They got the fly stuff. You're freshman, you're like, bro, I'm trying to keep up. Like, nah, I was right there with them like the whole time. So
that's awesome.
With that name, it then caused people to say, hey, I want to like get some shoes from you, like you the plug, like what's up, bro? You got everything. So it kind of like turned into that, and then the end of my junior year, I wore a brand new pair of shoes for the second half of junior year.
Dang.
And then my senior year of high school, I wore a brand new pair of shoes every single day. I never wore the same shoe again.
Really?
Yeah. So that was my thing. Like everybody knew about
crazy. Man, if social media had been a thing back
bro,
then,
I would have been
huge.
Crazy. I would have been
real.
huge. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, look at like 80 Kicks, who's like a teacher and he wears a different pair of shoes each day. A student doing that?
I was doing that,
bro,
yeah.
That'd be crazy.
That was in 08, 09, 2010. Like,
oh my gosh. Yeah,
so,
it's crazy.
Was doing that, and my collection was growing. By that point, I'm like 250, 300 pairs of shoes in my collection.
Are you making the money for the collection by reselling some sneakers?
Yeah, so I was basically like, I learned like, at the time, like you could resell. eBay was, now like established.
Yep.
And like, but it was mainly through like ISS and like different like different platforms.
Right.
And I was selling. I'm like, I could make like $20-$30 on this pair. Let me just buy a few pairs. Retail wasn't as high.
Right.
Like it was cool. Because if you sold some shoes for $250 back in the day, that was like a lick.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
For real.
Retail was like $160.
Exactly.
$145, $160.
I miss those days,
like, so you know what I'm saying? Like that was cool.
Yep.
Like, remember when the Grape 5s was $250 and I was like, that's a lot. Like, I don't know if I could spend that. Like, that used to be a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
So it was just
it still is, to be fair. It's still like paying $250 for like the breads coming out. Like that's a little wild.
I feel that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just that's kind of what it was. Just like buy multiple and just use this to build my collection for free, basically.
That's awesome.
Like, well, I'm gotta put some work in, but like at the same time, I can cover my costs and just keep getting more shoes.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and then from there it was just like, okay, I'm getting to college.
Right.
I want to start a business doing this.
That's dope.
And like reselling online.
That's dope. Because
it was like Flight Club, Riff LA. Like there wasn't many spots. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's back when Nice Kicks had fakes. Before they was even selling real shoes at the time.
Yeah.
Like back when it was like pickyourshoes.com and like all these different sites. So it wasn't really like that many platforms to go and get, and a lot of them only did new.
Right.
Remember? So it wasn't even that many places to get used. So I was like, okay, I can dominate this by, I was already collecting samples and PEs at the time.
Oh, wow.
I was getting those when I was in high school.
Okay.
So by that time, I'm like, I have a unique offer. I can sell used, I can sell new, I can sell samples, rare, exclusives, different stuff like that. And it immediately got me into like selling to pro athletes.
That's awesome.
And going to special events and doing all this stuff. By the time I was it was weird though, because I was consulting with Adidas, helping represent American footwear while I was reselling.
And this is, so how old are you at this point?
18.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Were you playing football at this point too?
Playing football. Yeah, I played sports year-round growing up, and then I got serious about football in high school.
What position?
And I was playing quarterback, and then I switched to receiver my senior year, and then I played receiver in college.
That's awesome. Yep. Wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
Dude, you've done something literally just like that 4-year span. You've done more than I think I've ever done in my entire life. That's so crazy, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot. And then that's the other thing some people do, some people don't. But I was like in the Japanese immersion program, so we learned that from kindergarten through high school. You go out, you do research study in Japan, spend time there, you learn throughout high school, which I quit doing that like halfway through high school because I was learning Spanish, Japanese, and English. Still, I'm still learning English to this day. I can barely talk, so, I'm trying to figure it out. But it was just a lot.
It's amazing.
It was a lot going on at the time. So I was like, I'm going to just back off of this for a bit. Like, I'll brush up on it later. Took me like 10 years to brush up on it, but I'm back in action, man.
I haven't even grabbed the brush, dude. I don't even know. I don't even know how to. So were you still living in the same area you're living in now?
Yeah, in Portland.
So you were being in Portland. I'm assuming it was easier to get things like PEs because you're just proximity, like you're close to Nike.
Yeah, you're there. Yep, and you meet
Gotcha.
somebody, and it's just networking. And then it's like, at that time, too, there wasn't too many, like, young players in the game.
Right,
So, like,
right, that makes sense.
being able to come in and be serious about it and then, you know, come through and cash somebody out or whatever at a young age was, like, a big thing.
Right.
So there was a couple of times, like, when I first started, I'm like, yo, I got to get a little $3,000 loan and from somebody I know just so I can get this deal to go through so I can show them I'm legit. And then from there, it was like, okay, I'll start selling more and then start buying more bulk and stuff. And then it was like truckloads of cars and stuff. Like, it'd be different stuff like that. But, yeah, that's kind of like this mini origin story of it.
So what was your favorite PE back in the day that you got?
Still to this day, my Ray Allen 12s, the Seattle Supersonics.
Doesn't get much better than that, man.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then be able to, like, again, get those for $500 and then now, like, you know what I'm saying? How much they're worth is crazy. But
nuts.
like back then, getting all them like the Bibby PEs and all that stuff, like spending $1,000 on a shoe back then was crazy. Because remember, I feel like the shoe that set the tone, which was during the same time, was the Nike Mag.
Yep.
And
100%.
the foam posit and like them type of shoes.
Yep.
And like the Mag was selling for like what, 2 bands?
Yeah, it wasn't much.
And it was like people were like, no way.
Yep.
This is insanely that's like us looking at a $20,000 shoe now.
It's also the Mags.
You know what I'm saying?
It's still the Mags.
And it's still the Mag, right?
Crazy. Yeah.
So that's kind of like how it was for the market. Like anything that was $500 or $700 was like a lot of money.
Right.
The Yeezys, like when the Yeezy ones came out, I remember spending $400 on those, thinking like,
that's amazing.
This is way too much, bro.
Right.
Like I can't believe I'm doing this right now.
I spent $5,000 on the Zens 3 years ago.
See?
Yeah, that's
what I'm saying. It's crazy.
It's nuts. Now I got rid of them because I saw that it was a G-Eazy who wore the pair to the basketball game.
They
fell apart. I was like, I can't ever wear these. I'm not
Were they
losing
new?
$5,000. They were new, yeah.
Oh, see, that's scary. Yeah,
exactly.
Luckily, so I've worn all mine over the years, and they're still wearable. I check on them every few months.
How do you check them? Like, do you press?
Press the press the midsoles, press the foam, but you don't want to do it too hard initially because your thumb will go all the way through. But you got to give it a soft press and then kind of feel it and then push from the bottom and then wear them to the grocery store.
That's great. That's dude.
So you might catch me rocking some crazy heat at the grocery store often because that's what I do. Like if I'm going grocery shopping, I'm like, oh, I'll be on my feet for like an hour or two.
Right.
Like wear these and then keep them alive.
That's what. You know, it's crazy, dude. Like I've known you for a couple years now. And I feel like we spent a good amount of time together, but I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. And learning all about this now is wild. So, okay, so we're 18 years old. Mm-hmm. All this is going on. Mm-hmm. How did you jump from there to real estate?
So I was doing that, and football played a big factor in it. Because I was good in high school. It just I didn't have no offers. I was like switch positions. There was just a lot of different stuff.
Right.
So that happened, and I was like, bro, I don't got nowhere to go. So I went to this school called George Fox.
Okay.
It's like 45 minutes out of the city, like in a different town.
Okay.
And I was there for 2 days, and I dropped out of college, and I stepped back and went to a post-grad year at a different school. So, cool. Basketball players do it a lot.
Right.
But I found out that was a football option.
Right.
I had went to a camp that my senior year just for fun because I was like, oh, I'm done playing football for the rest of my life.
Right.
Let me just go to this final camp.
That's awesome.
Went to the camp, got the MVP of the camp. Then went to the next. They were like, oh, you got to prove yourself because we don't know who you are. So you got to go to the one in Seattle too. I'm like, okay. So then I went up to the camp in Seattle, and they was like, yep, you're the MVP here too. So then they're like, we're going to send you to the top dog, like where all the MVPs around the nation come to this final camp at the end of summer.
Okay.
But typically, like, you're already committed to college, and like all these dudes are like D1 dudes, and then there's like me, right?
And you were the MVP outbeating these D1 dudes.
So then I go to that camp, and they're like, who the hell is this kid? Like, it was so hot. Oh my God. My dad was there.
Receiver position?
Yeah, I was playing receiver. Gotcha. My dad was there. People were sweating like crazy, bro. It was so hot out in Virginia, like just freaking hot. But yeah, so I went to that camp, and then people were like, bro, who is this dude? So like people are coming up to me like, because they do the interviews, like, what school are you going to? Where'd you commit? And like, I'm playing with dudes like, oh, this dude's going to Miami. He's going to Stanford. He's going to Yale, this, that, the other. Like, I'm just hearing all these different schools. I'm like, bro, what? So I'm like, yeah, I don't got nowhere to go. I'm just here for fun at this point.
Right.
And then a coach came up to me, and I still can't remember his name. I have to find this dude because he like helped me so much. But he was like, have you heard of post-grad? You should try it if you don't have no options. Like, I'm going to give you one of my other coach's friends. You know, he's a great friend of mine.
Right.
I'll give you his information. He's going to call you.
awesome.
And all like just off of word, like we don't have no film. We got film from the camp, but that's it.
Right.
Like that's all we need. And I'm like, okay. So then they call me, which was during the time to go to school.
Right.
And they're like, yo, you want to come out here and play? Like we got a spot for you. We'll make sure you get a scholarship, all this stuff.
That's amazing.
So I was like, cool, let's do it. So that all happened in like a week. And
That's
I was like, you know,
amazing.
I'm dropping out. I'm going back. So then I moved to New Hampshire, played in Tilton, New Hampshire.
Oh my gosh.
And then got a scholarship there. And during that time, when I was sitting in them dorms, I was like, I'm going to start a Facebook page.
Right.
And like, this is how I'm going to start my business. So at the time, Facebook pages was a big thing,
Right,
2010.
Yep.
So started a Facebook page. I'm like, yo, every 1,000 followers we get on here, I'm giving away a free pair of shoes. So I did that.
That's
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Like we just started getting followers, and every time we did it, I would do like a giveaway competition. So we had like this fun, like interactive challenge, and like everybody would be voting. I make brackets and everything. Like you have to like submit a new shoe every time and everything.
Right.
So it was like really fun, and I still feel like I hold the best challenges yet. Like I mean, used to do them on Instagram,
man.
and it was pretty,
really
really engaging. So I did that, and then I was like, okay, now I'm gonna like develop a website.
Right.
So it was like Big Cartel,
Of course.
and it was like Wix was coming
Yep,
around.
yep,
Shopify wasn't even really like popping like that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So it was like people was using those free links. Remember, it was like so dot bigcartel.com.
Exactly. Yep,
Like
yep, yep.
so dot wix.com. Like you didn't want to pay for the link.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So I did that, and I just learned how to start making websites.
That's
so
amazing.
I started from scratch from that, learning how to make websites. And I was like, all right, we officially got stuff. I didn't even know how to work the back end and process orders. Like, that was the struggle because there
Right.
wasn't no, like, system yet. It was
Right.
just like a website.
Right.
You had to figure that out. So I was doing that, and I started getting orders, like, as soon as I started posting stuff. And then about 6 months later, I ended up going to, college. And by the time I got to college, I was like, let's get serious. I was like, let's get the business register. Let's do all this stuff.
Right.
Did that. I made like 100 and something thousand like in like 5 months or something. And my parents, I showed them, and they seen it, and then it was like, oh yeah, this is legit. Like you could do this. Like I did this. So by the time I was a freshman in college, I'm like, bro, I don't need college. Like what is this? You know what I'm saying?
Oh my
so I was
gosh.
like, I'm making money. Like what's
Right.
going on? So I just tried to. Originally, I just wanted shoes so I can get a new, like, sell something to buy. They have money to buy a car.
Right.
And then I was like, nah, I need to get a house. Like, that's probably the best thing I should do.
Bro, that's awesome.
So by then, I'm like 19. I'm like, all right, I'm going to buy a house. So didn't know about, like, taxes and finances and all that stuff on the back end to be qualified and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Learning that, like, didn't even have a credit card yet. So I didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just all the other things. Like, what was I doing? I didn't know because I was young, and it was okay. And so that process, I was just learning, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, I found out that you could, like, take over somebody's loan and pay them. And especially if it's, like, on a foreclosure, you can work a deal and do different things. So I found that route, and I found a house, and I was like, this is perfect. So when I came back for winter break, I was about to buy a house when I was 19, and I'm like, this is going to be great. Then the dude ended up not letting me buy the house, basically. He didn't sign. He was about to sign the paper, and his mom was the other co-signer. She didn't want to sign.
Right.
They lost the house. So I'm like, bro, I could have got the house.
Right.
But now y'all don't got the house either. So it was just a lose-lose, but I was like, it is what it is. So I was like, okay, you know what? Back to the drawing board. I'm going to take the next year, like 3 or 4 years while I'm in college playing football. That way I don't focus on real estate at the time.
Right.
But I'm going to just like brush up, learn, meet people, network, do the same thing I did with sneakers.
Smart.
So then when I got out of college, immediately just hit the ground running.
That's amazing. So were you still in New Hampshire at this time, or were you back in
So yeah, no, I went to, that's a whole nother story. My football story was too long. But I went to PCC, Tilton, George Fox, Merrimack, Foothill, and Southern Oregon.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, so I went to 6 schools during the college time.
Right. Wow. Oh my gosh.
It was a lot going on with transfers and getting hurt and car accident, you name it, like just a bunch of different stuff. So that was a wild journey. But basically every year I was living somewhere new.
Right. That makes sense. So where was this first house that you were looking to buy?
In Portland.
Portland?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I was like, that's going to be the hub. That's where everything going to be at. I'm going to get all the houses here.
Right.
I'm going to start off. But
so
then
was that 2011 if you were 19 or 2012?
Yeah, something like that.
Was the market starting to come back from 2008 at that point, or was it
Right,
still
which
pretty
was
low?
perfect because
Right.
it was like the market was starting to come back.
Right,
like,
right.
People were still leery, but I was like, this is cool. Like, it's my time to get in.
Totally.
So it was like kind of that moment. And then when I got serious and when I got done with school and everything, coming into then 2017, interest rates were crazy low.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was
That's
like,
crazy,
this
yeah.
is perfect, bro.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like having rates in the 3% is just like, what?
nuts.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like free money, basically.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. So that's when I got done with college, it was like, buy houses in Portland.
Yep.
I need somewhere to live. I'm not going to be
awesome.
the one that's like living at my parents' house forever.
Right.
But my parents, luckily, like I was in a fortunate situation where like my parents said, you could live here, but make sure you figure it out at
That's
the same
amazing.
time. So it was like,
Wow.
I was training to go to the NFL.
Right.
And I was looking to buy houses and still at this time, like on fire with the shoes,
Right.
selling.
Right.
At this point, like selling crazy PEs and samples and all types of stuff. I got into more of like the rare stuff because the volume was less.
Right.
Touching so many things just
Right.
was too much.
Yeah, I bet.
So I was doing that. And then, I graduated school, went to the combine, bought 2 houses in like a 30, 40-day window. And
That's
it was just
wild.
like a lot to balance.
Yeah.
But I was like, if this don't work, this will work. If this don't work, this will work. If that don't work, this will work. Something got to work.
Yeah.
And then a couple things ended up working, so it all started working out after that.
You might be the most motivated person I've ever met, like, genuinely. And like I feel like, especially at that age, like the amount of things, the maturity that you had to know, like, okay, if I line up all these things, something's gonna work, and just being, it's incredible, man. Like seriously, it's incredible.
I appreciate it.
It's for real. Like I knew like a little bit about all this, but I didn't realize that it was this deep, and it's really, really amazing. I mean, seriously. Not to sort of to, I guess I'm assuming, not to get into football too much, but if there was one team that you would have really wanted to play for, like in the
Oregon.
NFL.
In college?
No, NFL.
And NFL. So the Steelers for sure. I mean, we got Tomlin.
Yeah.
Like, who better? Like, what coach would you want to play for? You know what I'm saying? Like,
He is an incredible coach.
it's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
I think
I'm a
that
Ravens
or
fan,
like
though, so it's kind of like, you know.
it would be dope to. I feel like it would be dope to play in Seattle just because it's close
Yeah.
to home.
True.
I know a lot of family would be able to come.
True.
They would be at every game.
Yeah.
And I would make sure they had tickets and everything. Like,
That's awesome.
I think those would be like the two. Plus, like they could play each other in the Super Bowl. So
Yeah, that would be wild.
Yeah.
So okay. So going back to college then. So what was the team that you wanted to play for in college?
Oregon.
Just
Just because I
all
wanted.
those
Chip
PEs?
Kelly was going crazy at the time.
True.
I had a bunch of homies that played for Oregon.
That's
So yeah, during that time, this was the emergence of college PEs for
Right.
Oregon.
Gotcha.
We had already seen Kentucky and North Carolina was getting like, remember the Jordan 13 high and stuff,
Yep.
which
Yep.
was years before that. That was like early 2000s. But then now the Jordan 2010, the first
Yeah.
Oregon PE
Yep.
that nobody talks about, what came around, and then we saw the 9s, and then we saw the 3s, and then the 4s. Well, at that time, you could trade like CDP pack 7s for like pit crew 3s.
That's crazy.
Or like,
That's
you know what I'm saying?
doesn't
Like,
make sense.
you
Yeah.
could trade like black and white 9s,
Right.
or white and black 9, like playoff 9, OG, like Space Jam colorway.
Yeah, yeah.
You could trade those for like Oregon Duck 9s, like, so, or you could cash somebody out like $500 or $600 for like the white and the black 3s. Get
That's
both
so
of them
crazy.
together in the set, like, and it was just good times. You know what I'm saying? I knew a bunch of homies on the squad because I played against them in high school.
Right.
So it was like just aligned.
That's
I would
crazy.
pull up and then
Right.
just buy like 10, 15 pairs.
Right.
And then by the time the Oregon 4 came, I was in college on the East Coast.
Okay.
I saw they got them. I got hit up. So as soon as I got back for winter break and the season was over,
Right.
immediately down there.
So okay, so buying a PE, I'm sure it's tricky because they're specifically given to certain players, and like they know if you're selling them. So is there a specific? Not obviously we're not gonna get like the.
It was
crazy
Wild
sales,
Wild
but,
West
like,
back then,
Really?
too, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit easier than it would be now if you were like hit up like a college player and be like,
Yeah.
"Yo, you trying to sell your sneaker?"
Well, now they hold all the stuff.
Oh, that makes
Like
sense.
before, it was like you got possession of it. Now it's like you checking in and out of the library.
Really?
Like, it's a whole different
really
process.
Like do you get it like once you graduate? Like do you get to keep it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy.
And if you transfer, like it's a whole different system
Really?
too. Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff and rules and regulations to it now and how they go about it.
Right.
Especially with them getting new shoes every year.
Yeah.
And then like people knowing the value of the jerseys, the helmets, the gloves,
Yep.
all the different stuff.
Yep.
So they hold off all that stuff over the years, and you'll see, and then
Wow.
you have the chance to get your stuff or like buy extra or whatever.
Right.
When you become a senior.
That's so. I had no idea it was like that.
There's a full process to it, and
Right.
you know, I got like my little cousin plays out there still
cool.
right now.
That's awesome.
But there's you know, little homies and other cousins from different teams and
Right.
stuff like.
Right.
And friends now that played in college with me, against me, or at other schools are now coaches in college that happen to be at a Jordan Brand
wild.
college.
So they get
So then
those
it's like,
fees,
oh, I
too.
know them too. Da, da, da.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, that's
it's
crazy.
just again networking, doing all the same thing, but
Gotcha.
it's an interesting process for sure.
Wow. Okay. Well, getting back into real estate. So tell me about. So we got to sort of where you were at that point. Like, what was the next step? Like, how did it continue to grow?
From there, yeah. So I got the first two. The first one was
Within 30 days of each other.
Yeah, so the first one, well, I guess they were at the same time, basically.
Okay.
So one of them was a hard money loan.
I was gonna ask, how do you get a loan for two houses at once? Yeah.
Yeah, so one of them was a hard money loan.
Okay.
So basically it's like money talks at that
Right.
point. Like,
Right, that makes
you
sense.
ain't got your stuff together, it's cool because if the investment makes sense and you got the bread
Right.
and they like it,
Right.
like you're going to be able to make it play.
That makes sense.
So
that makes sense.
That's why I tell people too, there's a lot of different avenues to real estate.
Yeah.
And it's even
Yeah.
like, not even the loan process, but just even in real, like, are you a broker? Are
Right.
you an agent? Are you doing construction? Are you doing single family, multifamily,
Right.
commercial, residential, this, that, the other? Like,
Right,
there's so
right.
many different sectors. So it's kind of like, you have to figure out what your lane is
Totally.
and what you want to do
That
at the
makes
same
sense.
time.
That makes
Even
sense.
with like
Gotcha.
sneaker reviews, right? It's
Yep.
like, do I want to do all the shoes? Do I want to do just Jordans? Do I want to do these types? Do I want to do
Right.
reviews only? Do I want to do only like on foots, or do I want to do monthly updates? Like, what do I
Right.
want to do?
Right.
So you just kind of got to figure out that lane. For me, it was like single family is my entry.
Okay.
So do it that way. So yeah, we found a hard money lender, got some bread together, did
That's
that.
awesome.
So I sold some shoes, put
Okay.
some cash together for that, and then took the other money and put it for the down payment for the other house. So for the other house, when I was in college, I was still writing a bunch of stuff off with my business.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm like, bro, all the rich people be doing it.
Yeah.
Like, why they be, which is a crazy game because the people that don't got no money, they got to pay the most in taxes. And the people that got
Yeah.
all the money don't be paying nothing in taxes.
It's
And they
wild.
write everything off.
Yep.
So, like,
Yep.
I learned that very, very early. And I was
Yep.
like, this is a cold system.
It is.
So, if you follow the rules, and it's crazy, too, because tax laws change every year.
Yeah.
So, there's these little things you got to learn, and you got to stay up on it. And
Yep.
you got to be able to be aware of those type of things, too.
Totally.
So just learning and understanding that, I was like, okay, there are ways to go and do things and get things that you want. You might have to, quote unquote, pay the price, and whether it's a little bit higher interest rate or whatever.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, how much are you saving on this? And then, like, is it worth it in the short term, long term?
Right.
You got to factor all those things in. So I was in a situation where I was like, I wrote a lot off, but this year I didn't. But then they averaged the 2 years, and I'm like, okay, well, how about I get a cosigner? So I got a cosigner, and when I got a cosigner, that made it a lot easier because now it was like, cool. They were like, oh, we can give you $120,000. I'm like, bro, you can't buy nothing. Like, at that time, $225 was like cool in Portland
Right.
to get like a townhouse or something.
Right.
But just
so you
by
bought
getting
a single family.
yeah.
So that was more than 225, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so just by getting a cosigner, it went from like 120,000 or something, and then
Right.
it was like you can get like 350,000.
Nice.
I'm like, oh, okay,
Nice.
this is cool because I'm still gonna pay it all. I can afford to do this. This
Right.
makes sense.
Right.
I just need the cosigner. Like they don't have to, because you know, like technically sometimes the cosigner does pay and all that stuff, but
Right.
I was like, I'm taking care of all this, so
Right.
it's good. So
Right.
yeah, that was the situation for the second property.
That makes sense.
Um,
Okay.
And then from there, it was like, okay, trying to use hard money loans consistently
Right.
after that.
Right.
COVID came, and
Oh yeah, that must have been brutal.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people were going through it. And it's like, okay, how can I get something right now?
Mhm.
Like, it's the worst times.
Right.
You got to find a way to make it work during the worst
Totally.
times because that's how you make
Totally.
the biggest gains,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Like you see these crashes in the market or this, that, the other. Like, it's the same thing with the shoe stuff.
Right.
Like, stuff's cheap right now.
Yeah.
And people were like,
It's crazy
oh,
cheap.
it's cheap.
Yeah.
It's all dead. I'm like,
Yeah, no.
I saw this before. This happened before. Back in 2012,
exactly.
13, 2014, 15.
Exactly.
Like, this was
Yeah.
happening before.
Yep.
It was about 12 years ago.
Yep.
So you just got to find that and find ways to capitalize on it.
Gotcha. So are you renting out most of these? Are you property managing these properties, or do you have a property manager? Or?
We are technically managing it right now.
Okay.
The goal is to start selling these houses, though.
Cool.
To get a complex.
Oh, nice.
So,
Okay.
I'm not trying to. I will be. If I need to look at the camera, too. I'm buying apartment complex this year. I don't know when it's happening, but it's going to happen.
That's awesome.
So we're only a 1 month in, so it'll happen.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
yeah, definitely trying to get definitely going to get a complex this year.
That's awesome.
Looking to sell 1 or 2 of the houses. If not, I think 1 will be fine to
Okay.
get there.
Right.
But yeah, the goal is to get that, and then with that, it'll set up a whole new unlock
Even a
for
different level. Yeah.
net worth, monthly income, all the different
Right.
stuff, like asset values. Like, it'll just help a lot.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, so sort of switching gears a little bit. We'll get back into this, but how did you get into YouTube? I know you started in 2020, but like, how did this all sort of end? How did you get into YouTube, and then how did you sort of merge sneakers and finance and all of that together?
Yeah. So when did YouTube start? 2004, 2005?
2005, I think. 2005, 2006. Yeah,
Right when we was coming into high school.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So YouTube started in 2005, 2006, whatever that was.
Mm-hmm.
I started then.
Really?
So I didn't realize I started, but I
Right.
started.
That's awesome.
I made like 4 videos, but basically I had boxing gloves in my trunk.
Okay.
And
Okay.
me and the homies, if you ever had any issues
Right.
or we was just talking shit or whatever,
Right.
get the gloves. We'll fight anywhere. So basically, pull up. Like,
Right.
it's happening. So I just started recording videos on my little like phone.
Right,
The
right.
little LG phones was popping back then with the little camera, the swivel thing, and the razors and everything.
Oh my God, that was
So yeah, I was recording videos on that, and then
Right.
I was putting them on YouTube.
That's
and then I
awesome.
would take the link and I send it to the homies.
Were you yelling like World Star? Like,
Bruh, yes, exactly. Yes, Kimbo Slice, all that stuff. So we would make the videos and then just send them to all the homies in high school,
Right.
and everybody be watching it.
That's
and just
awesome,
watch them over
man.
and over.
That's
I
great.
cannot find the videos at all. I'm
I'd love to
pissed.
see those.
But yeah, so it was kind of like that. And then we had a trampoline in the backyard with
Okay.
a net around it.
Right,
So
right.
that was our boxing ring.
That's awesome.
So it'd be like, let's get it in. We like leave football practice and just be boxing. And be like down in the basement boxing.
Oh my
Out in
gosh.
front of the school boxing. In the hallway boxing.
Bro.
In the school boxing. Like wherever boxing. So that's what we would do. And then I kind of was just like, I would be participating too. But then I kind of like orchestrate the madness.
Right, of course.
And
Yeah,
it would
of
just
course.
get worse. So we did that for a little bit for like the first year.
Right.
And then I don't even remember what happened, why we stopped. I think somebody got in trouble or something.
Gotcha.
So we're like, all right, we got to chill with making the videos. And then when I got into selling shoes,
Right.
2010, 2011, I was like, I'm going to make a YouTube channel about sneakers.
Right.
So at the time, what's the dude's name? Sneak Geeks.
That sounds right.
Sneak Geeks. Franelations.
Oh, yep.
Jumpman Bostic.
Mhm.
What's the one kid? It was like he was like young white dude. He was like I think he was in like
Ray 20? Tom Smith? No.
middle school or high school at the time. He was young. He was making videos too. I think he lived in
Okay.
like Florida or something. I don't remember. But it was like him.
Okay.
DJ Greg Street.
Okay.
There was like all these different people making videos at the time.
Eddie Wynn, Yoanti. Like
Yeah.
Okay.
What year was that?
I know Eddie Wynn and Yoanti. I think we're starting like 2012, 2013.
Yeah, see, that's later.
Nightwing.
That's
Oh,
later.
That's later.
That's
Okay,
later. That's
okay.
all later.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Then
Yep. Yeah. So then, there was like these like low key OG pioneers that didn't even
Right.
kind of realize it type
Right.
thing.
Right.
And then I was like, I'm gonna make shoe reviews too,
That's awesome.
and I'm gonna review the shoe and then tell people to go buy it from my website because the
Right.
link is in the YouTube video.
Brilliant.
So
That's awesome. Yeah.
I was doing that.
That's
and
affiliate
then-
links before affiliate links were really even a
Yeah,
thing.
I was like,
That's
oh, this is
wild.
just more promo, and I get to talk about the shoes, and I already
Right.
got a bunch in my collection. Still, what I do to this day,
Right.
compare them and talk about the differences and everything, because that's what
That's
I love
awesome.
to do.
Right.
So I was doing that. I did that for like a couple years,
Mhm.
and at the time, I had got like 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers, and at that time, it was like a lot.
Yeah, that's huge.
Because like Instagram was just emerging,
Right.
and it was like trying to figure that out. Like I remember I would like follow people and
Mhm.
unfollow them daily
to get them to follow
hundreds
back.
of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I had like I would do it like on all the sneaker blogs.
Right.
This was like my business page. I would do it on all the sneaker blogs and then follow all their followers and people that were actively engaging into the comments.
Right.
And then I would follow them for like a week, and then I'll go through and unfollow a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I had amassed like, I think it was like 10,000 followers like on Instagram back in like 2011, 12, right?
Yeah.
So at that time it was like 10,000 followers was like 100,000. You know, that's like a lot. You know, because at the time people had like 200, and that was like a lot.
Facebook was still it, man. Like people coming out of the MySpace days. Yeah.
So it was like I was doing that, and I remember like my guy Perfect Pair.
Oh yeah.
He was on Instagram too. I remember he had like 3,000 or 4,000 followers at the time. He was just coming up, like having his PE collection and everything. We were the same size, so we had known each other from then, like the beginning of IG days and everything. And it was just fun, like seeing each other grow and everything.
That's awesome.
But that was kind of like the start of that, and then I was making videos doing those reviews. But the monetization program was like around.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how like it worked.
Yeah.
So I remember I was in school in the library. I would edit videos at the lab down at my college.
Right.
I would do all the editing there. And I was in the library one time. I posted a video, and then I just started clicking on the ads to see like if it was gonna make money.
Right.
So I kept clicking on it, refreshing it, clicking on it, and I did it. And then the next day it like showed up, and it was like you made like 6 cents, and I was like, oh, this is how it works. Okay. Because there was no like YouTubers that taught you like how to monetize your channel, and like there was no like YouTube guru things like there are today.
And there's so many.
The resources are so crazy now. Like you could just go out and learn all this stuff. Back then it was like figure it out.
It was Wild West for sure.
Yeah. So did that for like a year or something. So I got monetized, and the next day I was demonetized.
Oh, because you
were clicking my own ads from my channel being logged into my own page. So I got demonetized, and I'm like, bro, F YouTube, bro. This is stupid. Like, I haven't been doing nothing, making nothing on this. Like,
that's great.
I didn't make like a lot of videos, but at the same time, like, I was like, this is fun, you know?
Right.
But I was like, this ain't worth my time, bro. Like, and I'm only making 6 cents. Like, hell no. So got demonetized, and then I was like, a year later, I was like, bro, I want to make videos still.
Yep.
Let me see if I can get remonetized. So I submitted a thing. Nope. They're like, try again in 30 days, whatever. Submit it again. Nope. I was like, yeah, I'm done with this, bro. I ain't doing this no more. I'm done.
Oh my gosh.
So that was like whatever that was, 2012.
Right.
And then there was this emergence. I saw all these YouTubers coming in.
Huge.
And I'm like, bro, that's why I was like, oh, I'm about to make videos. Because I'm like, now it's like a thing. Like people's doing it.
Yep.
So I'm like, I'm going to make videos too. This is fun.
Yep.
And I'm like, I got a crazy collection already. Like, hell yeah.
One of the craziest, man. I've seen your videos. I mean, you can see it in the background of the videos. It's wild.
At least I thought it was. I don't know. I still think it is. But
it is.
So did that. Got demonetized. I'm like, yeah, no, this ain't for me. I'll figure it out. Like, I'm going to do something else. And then when I got done with college, I was like, I'm trying to like go crazy with this real estate stuff, figure out everything, like still training for football. So I didn't know what I was going to do. And then 19 rolled around. I went to Complex Con in 2017. Okay. So I made a little YouTube video. Nice. And was just messing around. Right. And then started like picking back the camera up. Right. Casey Neistat, Peter McKinnon. They was all coming on the scene 2018. Yeah. Right. You have FaZe. What's the FaZe Clan? Clout House. Yep. All them. Yep. Team 10. Yep. This is like that era. Gosh. Yeah. Right. So I'm like, I hadn't been watching YouTube for a while. Right. Like maybe like 4 or 5 years. Right. So then I came back and I was like, all right, let me start watching videos and like see how this all goes. So that was like 2018. Kind of started messing with videos, making stuff too, just kind of trying to learn how to edit again. And like there was new platforms and everything. Right. iMovie was my thing too when I first started. That was the jam, dude. That was the best. It came. Bro, I learned how to do a lot on iMovie. Because it's like a great I tell people all the time when we're starting out, like, yo, if you have a Mac, iMovie, I mean, Windows Movie Maker isn't really a thing anymore, but you can get like free editing software so easy. Yeah. Yeah, so did that, and then I got to the point where I was like, I was watching like these crazy tutorials to learn how to do like all types of edits with like green screens and overlays and stuff. So I'm like, that's great. I want to learn how to do. So basically, I was making YouTube videos to basically implement a new thing that I learned. Right. Less than like worrying about the views and stuff. Like, yeah, it was fun doing that, but at the same time, I was like, oh, I learned how to do this new transition. Like, I gotta go make a YouTube video.
That's awesome.
Instead of just
That's
like
so
doing,
awesome.
you know what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah.
it would be incorporated into a review, right? Something like that. So, or a vlog or whatever it is I was doing.
That's great.
So I would try to do that. And then 2019 rolled around and I was like, okay, I was having fun with this. Like, the channel's now monetized. It had like a couple thousand subscribers on it.
That's great.
I'm like, okay, you know, made $12 or whatever it was.
That's great.
You know, it was cool. So then I was like, okay, 2019, I was like, let me learn like if this is worth my time.
Right.
Because like, yeah, I want to follow my passion, but I'm also like, I can't be wasting too much time doing
you got to be
something that's,
realistic
like,
about it. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'm not working no job
Right.
at all. Not
Right.
happening. I got fired from that's what I was talking about earlier. I got fired when I was a junior in high school from the family restaurant, from my family's restaurant.
Really?
My dad fired me. He's sitting over there asleep. But they fired me from the restaurant, and it was using me as an example, saying they willing to fire anybody.
Oh.
I'm like, this is crazy. So
That's
when I got
baller move,
bro,
bro.
when I got
That's like a
fired,
crazy move.
when I got fired, I told my dad, I was like, I'm not working for nobody else ever again.
Yep.
It's not happening.
That's
So
awesome.
from that point on, it was like, oh yeah, no, I'm figuring it
awesome.
out myself. So
That's awesome.
when I started the YouTube thing, I was like, okay, does this work? How does it make money? And I started watching like, how do people monetize and
Right.
like how much do they make and everything,
Right.
and like, is this worth it? And different industries make different amounts and all
Right.
that stuff. So I found that sneakers was like, if you do it right,
Mhm.
it's in the middle or like the bottom of the top third. I feel like with monetizing.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense.
I feel like
That
that's
makes
where it
sense.
kind of lands.
Right.
If you make sneaker content and you don't know what you're doing,
Mhm.
you're probably going to be at the top of the bottom third.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think basically you land in that middle third,
Mhm.
and you could get to that top third somewhere around there monetarily, but you'll never be able to be like the top dog. Like if you're the top dog in your industry, it's still not nothing compared to certain other industries.
No, like not like cars, like
you know what I'm
tech,
saying?
like, yeah, all that stuff. Yeah,
it's
for
like
sure.
beauty, you name it.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of different stuff that pays significantly more for the same amount of views or the brand deal or you name it, just different stuff. So just really getting an understanding of that and be like, okay, now I know where I stand.
Yeah.
How can I then be like monetarily in the right spot to make it make sense?
That makes sense.
Being strategic about that. So it was interesting because people, when I first started asking other people that did YouTube, people don't like talking about money and everything.
Right.
And I'm like, for me, I'm like, I don't like what you make don't make nothing for me. It don't matter. But I need to know, like, is this worth it for me to do?
Right.
And it's like, also,
if you're making way more,
maybe
way less,
I learned
like,
something that I could teach you. Like, because I know I can provide value to somebody that's bigger than me.
Totally.
And I
You've
know
given me so
vice
many
versa.
tips, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So I'm like, I don't care. Like, if anything, it's just more motivation or whatever, right?
Right.
So it was just kind of like learning all that. And then I went to a conference in 2019, and that's when I was like, I'm seriously about to like figure this out. So
that's awesome.
Summertime ended. 2019 October, went to a conference. It was like $1,000 to get into the event.
Right.
So I was in a Mr. Beast video.
That's crazy.
In like August, I think it was August.
Which one was it?
The trees video.
Trees. Okay.
We planted. Like 20 million trees or something like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I was like on Discovery Channel or something.
That's wild.
So I was in that video. So I met Jimmy and all them, the whole crew. At that time, he had like maybe like
a couple mil,
5 mil, maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
He might have had a little bit more. I don't know, but he wasn't like nowhere near as big as he is now, right?
Right.
But at the time, it was big.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
met them and went to that, and that's where I was like, okay, I got like 6,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Or like 7,000 subscribers or something.
Right.
Like, I'm a YouTuber, you know, whatever. Like, this counts, right? Like, so I was talking to them, but my approach always to the big YouTubers was like, I'm the shoe plug still. So what I went to them was like, bro, if y'all need anything, like, let me get y'all right. Because a lot of the YouTubers at the time in 2018, 2019, they was emerging into like this sneaker world.
Totally.
When did the Adidas Yeezys come out?
2015 was the 750s, I think.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because I'm like, I remember vividly seeing like YouTubers that didn't have shoe game, but then like they had a bunch of like views and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So then they started buying Yeezys,
Yep.
and they were like
Yep.
cool and hip. And I'm like, bro, y'all ain't even sneakerheads, but now you guys are because you bought this shoe.
Exactly.
And you got like the new Yeezy 3 whatevers.
Yeah.
So that was the thing, and I was like, oh, I'll just be the plug, and then I'll go in, be the plug, and then now I can exchange like knowledge and understanding and all these other aspects to the game of like YouTube and social media and create relationships, just like I did with the other industries, and just copy and paste whatever I did in sports. Like, how do I become a better receiver?
Right.
Okay, hit up people that I know that play in the NFL and go train with them. And then how do I be better at real estate? Talk to the homies that own multiple units and go talk to them and see how they manage it, or they do contracting or whatever it is.
And you were providing value to these people too, so it wasn't just like you're some dude like, hey, like I'm a fan. Like you were actually coming up like, listen, I can help you out with something. Right. You know, maybe you can help me out with something. Like that's amazing.
So that's always the thing. It's just like, how can you copy and paste whatever it is from whatever your world is to bring it to something else if you ever want to pivot. Right. So I always looked at it that way.
That's amazing.
And then so I was in the video, I did that, and then I talked to them, met the camera crew, met everybody, and then I saw that he posted something about he had a conference coming up. Okay. And I'm like, yo, I'm about to go out here and learn this, like whatever. And I'm like, nah, that's $1,000, bro. Like, I'm out here, I gotta figure it out. So I was like, you know what, F it. So I bought a ticket like 2 days before. It was like, you know how there's like last chance to get the set, like whatever. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just get a ticket. So then I didn't even have no hotel, no Airbnb. Didn't hit nobody up. Jeez. It was out in LA. So I paid last minute for a flight. I got like a little small Airbnb that was across the street, like 6 blocks away or something. And I went to the conference. Bro, I met everybody. Like it was because it's only like top YouTubers and stuff. It's not like fans. Right. So at the time, I'm trying to think of who you would know from this era. A lot of them. But there was a ton of creators that were like on the rise, right?
Like H3 were they there or no?
There was
they're already big at that point.
Yeah.
Ryan Trahan or like
I met Ryan there. Yep. Him and his wife and all the homies sick. And Tyler Oliveira and all them. No way. So I met because Ryan had just or was almost at 1 million. Yeah, that makes sense. At the time. That makes sense. Because I remember his wife was bigger than him at the time.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was a ton of people that was just like on the rise. That's wild. And I'm like, okay, I just hit 10,000 subscribers now. Right. Yep. So I'm here. Yeah. But like everybody got like a bunch of subscribers. So I was like, oh, but I didn't see myself as inferior to any of them. No, you can't because you're not. I'm like, I'm just new. It's okay. Right, exactly. Like, what can I do? Like, so it was just that. And then, went to the conference, bro. From the end of October, when I came back, to then New Year's, I went from like 10K to 30K.
It's amazing.
So I like tripled my following. Right. And I was like, this is perfect. Okay, cool. So I hit that on New Year's Day, and then I hit like 100K.
That's great.
Going into 2020, it was perfect timing. Right. So 2020 was like my first full year. Right. And it was just a perfect time to be like on YouTube.
Yeah, because everyone was watching YouTube. Yeah. For sure.
So I was like, this is my first year. I'm about to like be consistent, make videos, do all this stuff, stop playing, like. And then from there, it was just like, we in here, we're making it happen.
That's amazing, man. Oh my gosh. So one question I'm sure you get asked a lot. And I get asked a lot, and I'm not gonna ask you this exact question, but the question is like, how do I get started? You know, like what can I do? But rather than asking that, I want to ask you, if you were starting from zero right now, but you still know what you know, right? What would you do to get back to where you are, or even ahead of where you are?
I think building the foundation is the key. Okay. And that's one thing I focused on in 2020, because I still have videos to this day that are getting me views. Right. So my foundation to the channel was educational tutorial style videos. Okay. There's videos that are going to provide, if you can provide, you know, like they say, hit the 3 things, like be funny, bring joy, whatever, educate or inspire, right? Like if you can hit 2 of the 3, or if you can hit all 3, that's great. But the biggest thing was like tutorials and stuff that people are going to look up now, 10, 20 years from now. If the platform's still there, are people going to still be able to watch that video and want to look for that video and search content? So search content was a big thing. I think I would still do the same thing if I started now. Yeah, okay. It's a slower race. Yeah. But it's worth it, because it's like you got a couple thousand views, and the next thing you know, you look back and you're like 100,000. Right. You check again, it's like 700,000. You look again, 1.2 million. Yeah. 3 years later, 4.5 million, you know? That's awesome. It's like, that's how it works. So I would just write out a list of everything that makes sense that I know about, that I have a full understanding, create those videos,
Right.
build a foundation. They don't cost no money really.
True.
Because typically you already have all the stuff at your house or the knowledge that you need to just explain the information. So people always worry about that and then what they don't have. And I'm like, bro, why are you worried about what you don't have? All the stuff that you see on the internet, all these fancy gadgets, all these things, like, who cares?
Yeah.
The phone at this point, we didn't have a phone when we first started creating videos that shot like these phones shoot.
Dude, I shoot all my vlogs on my phone.
Bro,
I'm shooting this part of this your angle on the podcast is on my phone
That's
right
what
now.
I'm saying. Like, it's not even close to, like, I would have never have thought to shoot a video on my phone for a whole ass YouTube video. Like,
for sure.
No way. And then you can edit it, do all this stuff on there.
It's
not
crazy.
a thing. So, like,
it's crazy.
Worrying about what you don't have is another thing that, like, holds a lot of people back. And again, just don't worry about the views and everything. Like, create valuable content and know that it'll come and just keep getting better.
That's great advice. That's awesome, man. I love that. I love that. Well, okay, so I want to explain really quickly what these are.
Okay.
Obviously, we're not going to get into the actual things. You're going to have to watch our channels and watch our videos for that. But this is a size 13 pair of Bread Ones. And it's your Grail, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
I always had this debate with people because they say, like, the Chicago is the best Jordan 1 ever. And I've always said, it's the bread.
It's the Brez. It's the Brez.
I think it's the Brez.
It's all. Yeah, I mean, I completely. You're talking, preaching to the choir. So okay, so this is your size, but it's a pair of shoes that I got from. You can check out the video if you want. But it's a pair of shoes that I got a couple years ago, and you stopped by my house last year and you saw it, and you're like, "Yo, that's my size. What do I need to do to get it?" And all I said was, "Yo, if you can get me my size, then we'll make an even trade." And in this box, check out DJ's channel, linked in the description below. There will be a video of us making the trade because he somehow came up with this pair of sneakers in 2 days.
They
two
clean
days.
too, boy.
I saw the picture, I was like, what? That's crazy. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's sort of the explanation behind these really quick. But yo, dude, seriously, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Tell them where they can find you.
DJ_Sneakerhead on damn near everything. And then DNA Show on YouTube.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And all the links for everything will be in the description below. Seriously, Matt, it has been, what were you saying earlier? You got to hit the 3 pillars of, like, inspire, motivate. What were the 3 pillars?
Yeah, like, inspiration and motivation is, like, the same thing.
Okay.
And then education.
Okay.
And then, like, joy and happiness.
Bro, you hit all 3 today. You hit all 3 today, man. Yo, seriously, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Appreciate it,
I really
bro.
appreciate you,
Definitely.
dude. This is great, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys, thank you so much. See you in the next one.